Let me tell you, you're underestimating this lens. I know it's heavy, but let me at least show you how this can be the best zoom lens in your kit after 1 year of ownership. Let's get it. Alright, so let's get to the basic specs of this lens because I know you've been searching. So it's a 35-150mm focal length zoom lens with an aperture of 2 to 2.8. There are 3 customizable buttons, an autofocus and manual focus switch, 3 custom mode switch, a lock switch, and a Type-C port for updates or if you want to customize this lens even further with the Tamron utility app. It has a rubber sealing gasket and an 82mm filter thread. So this lens has a 2 to 2.8 aperture, which is good in low light environment, especially if you have the A7S III, FX3, FX30, or the ZV-E1 that just came out. These cameras are a beast in low light. So with a 2 to 2.8 f-stop, it makes a better blurry background than f4. In my experience, this lens best performs during events because you have such a wide focal length in one zoom lens from 35 to 150. You can just run and go, take that photo, or you can take that shot from normal view to 150 close-up shots. Alright, so let's get to the big elephant in the room, literally. So the weight of this lens is 1.165 kilogram, which is basically 2.5 pounds. Woo! So it's definitely on the heavy side, but to think of it, you're combining a 2-in-1 lens. Well, kind of. So comparing the weight with the Sigma 24-70, you can barely notice a difference, but on paper, of course, Sigma is lighter. The one thing that you have to consider with this lens is that this is front heavy. So then when you zoom it all out to 150, it becomes very front heavy compared to a 24-70. And if you're doing gimbal work with this, as a small guy, I'm gonna break my back. But then again, do some workouts, which I'm overdue. Let's get this out of the way. As a side note though, I recommend always locking this lens so that in the long run, the zoom mechanism doesn't get loose. So here is a quick time lapse on how I mount this lens with the DJI Ronin RS2. Yeah, it's possible. Let's calibrate it. Whew. It's quite hard to find the center balance. You need a lens support so that it doesn't move because it's such a long barrel. So yeah, I think it's possible. See? That's good. Right now it's just a 35mm, and then let's try to zoom in and see if it goes to 150, yeah? This is extended to 150. There you go. So after mounting it with a DJI RS2, it is possible. This lens is heavy that sometimes camera ends up moving from the plate. Also, this lens goes out so far, I think about 2 inches, and the gimbal is having hard time balancing it. To be honest with you guys, I think this lens should have a lens mount so that when you mount it on a gimbal, you can find the center balance easily. Or maybe a 3-type locking mechanism. So let's say 35 lock, and then you go to a middle ground around 85 lock, and then all the way to 150 lock, so that it's easy for us to find the middle and be able to balance the lens properly. So mounting this lens with a camera on a gimbal is possible. If you're a solo shooter like me, you're probably gonna break your back after maybe 4 hours straight up of using this lens on a gimbal. I think this lens best performs in terms of handheld shots because the heavier your setup gets, the more stable the shot becomes. It's a lot easier compared to mounting it to gimbal. It'd take you like 10 minutes just to find the center balance and then go. But in terms of advance, if you want to do gimbal shots, prepare ahead with the balancing or just do handheld from 35 to 150. So here are the shots I took from the Philippines using this lens. A quick tip though, I use 60 FPS or 120 FPS while shooting handheld with this lens. you enjoyed that small b-roll of this lens, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel as I do more of these videos. I would highly appreciate it. So as you can see, it's quite shaky, but if you slow-mo the footage, it's stable enough, it makes it dramatic. But then again, depending on the taste of your shot, then handheld would make sense. So a quick rundown, the build quality of this lens is good. It doesn't feel cheap. The zoom and focus ring feels smooth. And as you can see, if you zoom in all the way to 150, the lens is front heavy that it slowly goes down. And if you hang it, the lens is strong enough so that the zoom doesn't go down. So quickly comparing it with Sigma, the Sigma stays. With Tamron, it slowly goes down. Let's try this. 3, 2, 1. Tamron is tight enough so that the lens doesn't go down, but Sigma is loose. And so with the price, this is 1900 USD. As a semi-professional, I think the price is steep if you're a beginner, but having such a wide focal length from 35 normal view to 150, a close-up view, I think the price is actually fair from what you're getting. Especially coming from Tamron. They are known to make the best affordable lenses for us semi-professionals who can't afford those GM lenses. For photography though, this lens is such a beast. The range is just amazing, from 35mm to 150. This is all you need. You can have a normal shot to a more flattering shot. So after 1 year of owning this lens, if you're considering of buying this lens, I would recommend to rent it first for like a week so you can get a grip of its weight and ask yourself if you're okay with it. Go for it. If not, you can always go with the Sigma 24-70. You can never go wrong with that focal length. And because I have such limited time using this lens on a gimbal without breaking my back or injuring my wrist, sometimes it questions me if it's worth keeping. I think I have such a love and hate relationship with this lens. But during my trip to Philippines, I started to appreciate the convenience of this lens. I was able to bring only 2 lenses. This lens for tight and close-up shots and the Sony 20mm f1.8 for the wide shots. I can do so much more with this lens with a combination of handheld and slow-mo shots rather than bringing 3 lenses. It clears up more space in my bag so I can bring my drone or GoPro. So in any case, I don't regret keeping this lens for now because it serves me as a semi-professional filmmaker. And I know Samyang just released the same focal length zoom lens, and I heard it's slightly heavier than the Tamron 35-150. But at this point, I'm done adding extra weight on my bag because I don't want to break my bag. I'm getting old, man. My gosh. So overall, if you're a photographer or a videographer that likes handheld, or if you can carry a gimbal with this lens for a long period of time, I think you will enjoy this lens very much. The image and build quality is good. The shots are sharp. The focus is quite fast. You can almost compare it to a GM lens. If you want a detailed review of this lens with all the technicalities and testing, please watch Gerald's Undone's video of this lens, link below. But if you want to know what I think is the best storytelling prime lens, please click this video right here. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.